Ask any man what women fear most and you'll hear the same answers: betrayal, rejection, abandonment, loneliness. But those are only surface fears. Symptoms, not the root. There is a deeper fear, one most women never admit, not even to themselves. And once you understand it, your entire perception of relationships will change. Brother, this lesson took me years to learn. For a long time, I believed women thought like men, that they feared what we fear, that they wanted what we want. That mistake cost me peace, power, and stability in nearly every relationship I had. Listen carefully. The greatest mistake a man can make is projecting his own psychology onto a woman. Men fear failure, weakness, disrespect. Our nightmare is humiliation, being replaced by a stronger man, losing status, losing our position. That fear keeps us awake at night. But women are wired differently, and this is where most men lose clarity. When a man is betrayed, his world collapses because of wounded pride, his honor, his ego, his sense of dominance. It's devastating, yes, but it's the pain of humiliation. When a woman is betrayed, the wound carries a different message entirely. You are no longer valuable. You are replaceable. You are becoming obsolete. That is the real injury. For men, betrayal is an insult. For women, it feels like social erasure. Now let's go deeper. For thousands of years, a man's survival depended on strength, honor, and his ability to protect and provide. Weak men were conquered, starved, or erased. Women survived differently. Even without strength, survival was possible if they secured the attention and protection of the strongest available man. That reality shaped female psychology over millennia. And although we live in the modern world, that ancient programming is still running quietly in the background. That's why attention often matters more than truth, why validation outweighs logic, why the fear of being replaced cuts so deeply. Machiavelli understood this. He knew that human behavior is driven by fear, not morality. And to understand someone, you must identify what truly terrifies them. Here is the truth most men never see. A woman's deepest fear is not loneliness, not abandonment, not even betrayal. It is becoming irrelevant, invisible, forgotten. Think about it. When a 35-year-old woman sees her man noticing a 25-year-old, she isn't experiencing simple jealousy. She is feeling a primal fear, being judged by time, being evaluated and found lacking, losing her position in the hierarchy of desire. When she tests you, pressures you, or creates tension, it's not evil or manipulation. It's biology asking a question. Is this man strong enough to keep choosing me? Or will he leave when something better appears? This is not an attack, it is an evaluation. And that difference changes everything. When a man understands this, he stops taking female behavior personally. He stops reacting with anger or insecurity. He responds with calm, structure, and self-control. And here's the part most men resist. Women want to feel that you could walk away and still choose to stay. That your interest is intentional, that your commitment comes from strength, not fear. When a man stands firmly in himself, his kindness carries weight. His silence feels safe. His presence becomes grounded. Treat her as an addition to your life, not the center of it. When you center her too early, reorganize your life around her availability, or offer emotional depth before she has shown emotional responsibility, polarity collapses. Attraction turns into obligation. No woman wants to be the axis of a man's existence, not because she lacks empathy, but because it feels unsafe to carry that weight. Here is the paradox. Women want to earn access to you, not through games or cruelty, but through behavior, consistency, respect, and accountability. What is freely given is rarely valued. Unlimited attention has no gravity. Constant availability carries no power. Gravity comes from limits. A man with limits doesn't announce them, he lives them. He doesn't argue when boundaries are crossed. He doesn't beg for understanding. He adjusts his investment. He lets consequences speak. This is quiet strength. This is calm authority. And this is what women respond to instinctively, no matter what they say out loud. Selective warmth, emotional clarity, a man who isn't trying to win her, but observing whether she fits into a life that already has direction. Machiavelli understood this principle well. Power does not come from control over others, but from mastery over oneself. Power does not come from force, it comes from position. A man who knows his position does not chase validation. He does not perform for approval. He allows others to reveal how they relate to his standards. And here is the quiet truth beneath all of this. Women do not want to be treated in ways that let them relax into complacency. They want to be treated in ways that invite them to rise. They want to feel chosen, not indulged, desired, not needed, respected, not worshipped. The moment you treat her like a prize, you turn yourself into a contestant. The moment you treat yourself like the standard, the entire dynamic shifts. This is not manipulation, this is alignment. The strange part isn't that this works. The strange part is that men are taught the opposite. They are taught that love must be sacrificed before it is selected. That presence means constant availability. That masculinity must be softened until it becomes harmless to be acceptable. And then they are shocked when attraction dies inside the very environment they carefully created. Most men never notice the exact moment attraction fades because it doesn't leave loudly. There is no explosion, no dramatic ending. It dissolves quietly. Through small permissions you give without noticing. You tolerate behavior you shouldn't. You explain yourself when silence would have carried more weight. You stay present when distance would have restored balance. Slowly, the dynamic tilts. Here's the part that sounds insane. Women do not want unlimited emotional access to you. Unlimited access removes tension. And tension is the invisible thread that keeps desire alive. When everything is available, nothing is felt. When every emotion is processed immediately, nothing lingers. When you are always there, you stop being experienced. This is where men misunderstand emotional maturity. They think maturity means absorbing everything, never resisting, never pushing back, never disrupting comfort. But emotional maturity is not absorption, it is regulation. It is knowing what you allow close and what you keep at a distance. It is choosing when to engage and when to disengage, without drama. A man who engages with everything teaches a woman that nothing costs him anything, and what costs nothing carries no weight. Women don't watch how you handle big moments, they watch the small ones, the delayed reply, the disagreement, the boundary test disguised as humor, the subtle shift in mood. These moments reveal your internal order. They show whether you are reacting or choosing. Here is another uncomfortable truth. Women want to feel that you could lose them and remain intact, not because they want to leave, but because they need to feel that you are not surviving on their approval. A man who cannot withstand loss becomes cautious. He starts managing emotions instead of leading interactions. He trades truth for safety, and safety without strength becomes suffocating. This is why emotional self-control is so attractive. Not coldness, not silence, control. Control means you don't rush to clarify every misunderstanding. You allow space to do its work. You don't chase emotional resolution when tension is productive. You don't soothe discomfort that exists to reveal character. Most men kill attraction by fixing things that didn't need fixing. Women are not fragile puzzles, they are perceptive. They read how you handle discomfort. When you rush to fix, you signal fear. When you stay grounded, you signal confidence. A calm no feels safer than an anxious yes. The anxious yes communicates dependence. The calm no communicates self-respect. And self-respect is the foundation of respect from others. This doesn't mean becoming rigid, it means becoming selective. Warmth isn't removed, it's aimed. Warmth without structure feels chaotic. Warmth with structure feels rare. A man who treats every woman the same becomes predictable. A man who adjusts his investment based on behavior becomes intriguing, not because he's playing games, but because he's responding to reality. Here is where polarity is created. Women don't want to be treated like royalty by men who feel beneath them. They want dignity from men who stand firm in themselves. When you pedestalize her, you shrink yourself. When you honor yourself, polarity emerges. Polarity is not dominance, it is difference. Groundedness meeting emotion, direction meeting intuition, stillness meeting movement. And polarity disappears the moment you abandon your rhythm to sync entirely with hers. Women want you to keep moving, even after they enter your life. They want to feel that your purpose existed before them and will continue regardless of them, not because they don't want to matter, but because they want to join something alive. A stagnant man clings, a moving man attracts. This is why over-availability kills desire. Cancelling plans too easily. Reshaping your schedule instantly. Responding the moment she appears. These behaviors signal that your life is waiting. Waiting is unattractive. Motion is magnetic. Women don't want to be your destination. They want to be a meaningful stop on a journey that already has direction. Here is the truth most men avoid. Women want you to protect your dignity first, because when you abandon yourself, resentment follows, and resentment poisons attraction, quietly or violently. A man who stays aligned never needs to punish. He simply adjusts. This is the treatment women respond to instinctively, not indulgence, not sacrifice. Alignment. Attraction is not built by doing more, giving more, proving more. That belief quietly destroys men. Attraction is built through contrast, and contrast is created through restraint. Women pay more attention to what you withhold intentionally than to what you give freely. Not because they are manipulative, but because the human mind assigns value through scarcity and intention. Consistency is misunderstood. It is not constant emotional availability. It is internal coherence. Consistency of values, consistency of standards, consistency of self-respect. A man who is internally consistent can be externally flexible. A man who lacks it becomes rigid or excessively accommodating. Women feel the difference immediately. They feel when your kindness is grounded versus compensatory, when your patience is strength versus fear of loss, when your listening is presence versus submission, disguised as empathy. Women want to feel that you don't need to be liked to remain yourself. Needing to be liked makes you predictable. Predictability removes intrigue. Intrigue isn't mystery for show. It's the natural curiosity created when a man isn't broadcasting every thought, feeling, and intention in real time. Oversharing kills depth. Depth requires silence, space, unspoken confidence. This is why emotional transparency too early backfires, not because honesty is wrong, but because timing matters. Closeness earned gradually carries weight. Closeness given instantly feels disposable. Sharing struggles is not weakness. Making her your emotional regulator is. A man who cannot hold his emotional weight asks her nervous system to carry it. That creates pressure, not bonding. Women want to feel that you choose them, not rely on them. Most men fail by confusing intensity with intimacy. They rush attachment. They invest before observing. They treat potential as proof. And when reality breaks the fantasy, resentment follows. Women don't want you to slow down in life, they want you to slow down internally. Presence without consumption, interest without premature attachment, openness without dependence. A man who moves slowly internally moves powerfully externally. This signals discernment, discernment signals value, value creates attraction. The composed man isn't detached, he is regulated. He experiences desire without surrendering to it. Women respond to this instinctively because it feels safe without being boring, strong without being controlling, warm without being needy. Here is the final truth. Women want to feel that you could walk away without bitterness. Bitterness reveals attachment to outcome. Freedom from bitterness reveals abundance of self. When you know you'll be fine regardless, your energy shifts, your reactions slow, your presence steadies. Men who fear losing women often lose them. Men who are prepared to lose them often keep them. Readiness to lose is not indifference, it is self-trust, and self-trust removes pressure. Pressure kills desire faster than disinterest ever could. A woman doesn't want to be the meaning of your life, she wants to be welcomed into a life that already has meaning. When you stop trying to create attraction and start protecting your internal order, attraction appears naturally. When you stop asking how to treat women and start asking how to live correctly as a man, everything aligns. Women respond not to your words, but to your posture, your patience, your boundaries, and what you walk away from without anger. The feminine mind is always scanning for one thing. Is this man self-governed or emotionally outsourced? A self-governed man doesn't need rules for women. His life is the rule. His direction filters who enters. His standards regulate closeness. He doesn't punish disrespect. He doesn't dramatize disappointment. He adjusts his presence, and that adjustment speaks louder than confrontation ever could. Yet powerful at the level of instinct. You stop chasing clarity. You stop chasing reassurance. You stop chasing emotional resolution. You allow space to reveal truth. And truth always reveals itself when you stop interfering with it. Most men talk women out of attraction by over-managing the dynamic. They ask too much, they explain too much, they try to fix too much, they react too quickly. And in doing so, they remove the one thing attraction needs to survive: polarity. Polarity exists when two grounded energies meet, not when one dissolves itself to match the other. A woman does not want to absorb you, she wants to feel you. And she cannot feel you if you are constantly bending, softening, and reshaping yourself to match her emotional fluctuations. It may sound counterintuitive, but emotional leadership is quiet. It is not dominance, it is not control, it is not force. It is the ability to remain centered when emotions rise, to remain respectful when tested, to remain silent when words would weaken your position, to remain warm without becoming emotionally porous. This is why women respect men who do not argue their boundaries, they simply live them. When you stop needing to be understood, you become easier to trust. When you stop needing to be chosen, you become more desirable. When you stop needing validation, you become magnetic. Not because you changed tactics, but because you stopped leaking need. The real transformation happens when you internalize one truth. You are not here to convince anyone of your value. Value that needs persuasion is already compromised. Real value is assumed through behavior, consistency, and self-respect. The moment you start auditioning, you signal that you do not fully trust your own worth. Women sense this long before words form. This is why the men who attract effortlessly often say the least. They are not mysterious, they are resolved. Their calm is not emptiness. It is fullness that does not need to announce itself. It may sound surprising, but women want you to be less emotionally scattered and more internally anchored. Anchored to your mission, your health, your craft, your discipline, your growth. When a woman enters that world, she feels its gravity. She feels that being close to you means stepping into something structured and alive. That is what creates longing, not attention, not validation, not effort, direction. And here is the final truth that settles everything. Women want to be treated in a way that reminds them you are not afraid of loss. Not because they want to leave, but because fear distorts behavior. Fear creates compliance, and compliance dissolves polarity. A man who is not afraid of loss is free to choose, and choice is the foundation of desire. When you treat her with respect, without pedestalizing her, warmth without worship, interest without attachment, you communicate something deeper than attraction. You communicate self-sovereignty, and self-sovereignty is powerful because it cannot be taken, only joined. So stop asking how women want to be treated. Start living in a way that earns your own respect, even when no one is watching. Let your life move. Let your standards speak. Let your presence be calm and unnegotiable. The surprising part is not that this works. The surprising part is realizing attraction was never something you had to manufacture.